The word I have spoken can never be erased. It is written in the record book of God. Now, this is something very, very extraordinary. A record book of God. She has already something very great in her, that her actions are going to be recorded in the heavenly books. She is not aware of it herself immediately. There is something in her which prompts her, look, Savitri, your actions will be kind of noted down in the computer memory of the sky of heaven. It will be there. It is written in the record book of God. The word I have spoken can never be erased. So that is the script. The truth once uttered from the earth's air effaced, my mind forgotten, sounds immortally forever in the memory of time, sounds immortally in the memory of time. Yes, I have spoken something. Maybe my mind has forgotten. I had also forgotten. But that thing, that utterance has not vanished. It keeps on ringing in the cycles of time. It keeps on ringing there, immortally, forever, in the memory of time. Time will keep on remembering what I have uttered. In other words, the truth she has spoken when they met together, Savitri and Satyavan, and placed them together, that truth will keep on remain. It will remain always in the treasury of time. It will be permanently there in time, in the memory of time. That is not going to be wiped out at all, you see. Once the dice fall, thrown by the hand of fate in an eternal moment to the gods. Eternal moment to the gods. So her action, her movement, her utterance is going to be a part of the eternal moment to the gods. It is going to be a part of the godly moment, godly time. It cannot be taken away from that at all. Once the dice fall by the hand of fate, yes, fate has thrown the dice. Finished. Now you cannot reverse the result. Whatever has come is there. You have to accept it. And that's all. You have to accept it. Fate has given me this, I accept it. That is what he is in fact saying that thing. Because it has now fallen in the moment to the gods, in the eternal moment to the gods. Now, see here we have, once the dice fall, thrown with the hand of fate. Fate has thrown the dice. In the story of Savitri, as we have in the Mahabharata, Savitri gives three arguments. She was asked to change her mind. She was asked to go again and find some other suitable youth, and she refuses to do that. She of course tells it there to her father, because the queen does not come in the picture in the Mahabharata story. She tells it to her father that three things cannot be undone. The first thing is, when the property is divided among the heirs. A patriarch has got 2 or 3 sons, and the property is divided after his passing away between 2 or 3 sons. After having made the division, it is impossible to bring the property back together. She gives one example. The division of property occurs only once, and that's all. The second example she gives is that When a father gives his daughter in a marriage, he can give only once. According to the Indian tradition, he gives what is called Kanyadan, offering the daughter to the bridegroom. It happens only once. It cannot take place twice. It cannot take place twice. That is what she says there also. And the third example which Savitri gives is when a philanthrope distributes money or gifts or presents to people around, he gives them away. He does not take them back. They cannot be given again. Somebody has given the money or gifts or whatever it is, they cannot be taken back at all. So the way in which the gifts are given, the way in which the daughter is given in marriage by his father, by her father, the way in which the property is divided among the children, among the sons, they are not possible to change afterwards at all. In the same manner, my decision is formed. That is what Savitri says in argument, against this argument. And here, the poet says dice, because he is talking in the context of fate. He is talking in the context of fate. Basic idea is there in the Mahabharata story, but the detail is of a different nature here. Fate and dice, they will go together. So once the dice is cast, finished. You can't take it back at all, you see. It is a casino. You have played your game, finished. Whatever comes, comes. You have to accept that, you see. And that happens, but Savitri says that it is the eternal moment of the gods. It is in that moment that the dice are cast. Finished. So there is no question of now changing. You don't ask me now to change my mind, you see. My heart has sealed its truth to Satyavan. She says, sealed its truth to Satyavan. This is what she had agreed. Truth, uses truth. Faithfulness, abidingness, being together. Actually, let me see what I got here. Truth, faithfulness, fidelity, loyalty. One's word of promise, especially in engaging in marriage. Especially engaging in marriage. That is the word of promise in marriage. That is the truth. So she said that I already committed that thing. It's not just faithfulness, fidelity, it is the word of promise I have given in marriage, in my engagement. So how can I change that? that is the true dharma, true character of a person, you see. Once I have spoken, finished, I will stand by that, you see, irrespective of the consequences. Its signature, adverse fate cannot efface. Its seal, not fate, not death, not time, dissolve. She is so firm in her. Now the question is, its seal, not fate, not death, not time, dissolve. So she says, fate, death, no, nothing can do. Not time, kala, time, mrityu, niyati, these are the words. Fate is niyati, the working of time, kala, time, death, mrityu. They cannot dissolve it. Now, on what grounds does Savitri say this? It's a very brave statement on her part to make such a big statement like that, you see. What is it that prompts her to make that statement? She is so convinced in her decision. I mean, what is it that really makes her do that? Say that. Not fate, not death, not time, dissolve. See here, from the grammatical point of view, this is interesting. He has combined, see, is seal not fate dissolve? Is seal not death dissolve? Is seal not time dissolve? That. Here, I mean, dissolve is a verb plural or plural. In other words, you have got three nouns here: fate, death, and time. They cannot dissolve what I have chosen. I'm saying from a grammatical point of view. See. The other way of looking at it is seal not fate, nor death, nor time can dissolve. This is understood. This is understood from a grammatical point of view. You see. Normally, when you have got this explicit not, nor, you have each one as a single noun and it should be dissolves. It should dissolves. You see. But here, can is understood. You see. Is sealed, not fate, nor death, nor time can dissolve. Then she asks a rhetorical question. Those who shall part, who have grown one being within, that is the identity that has already been established. Can that identity be severed, broken, fissured? Impossible. This is a rhetorical question in the sense that the answer is already implied in the question. It means that no, it cannot. The answer is implied, it cannot. Death's grip can break our bodies, not our souls. If death take him, I too know how to die. And then she makes again further statements which are important. Let fate do with me what she will or can. Fate is feminine. What she will or can. I am stronger than death and greater than my fate. My love shall outlast the world. Doom falls from me helpless against my immortality. And then she makes a powerful statement. Fate's law may change, but not my spirit's will. But not my spirit's will. Now, all this is a very brave talk. all part of Savitri. It's a very big, brave talk, you see. Yeah, well, that I don't know. See, yeah, of course, if it is divine, no, the question is not that. The question is, we are talking now in terms of Savitri in the human and reacting to a certain situation as human Savitri. The question is, where from, even if she is divine, she has taken the human birth. In that human birth, where from that knowledge, that conviction come to her? Where from? No. No, no. All that conviction, etc., has come, in my opinion, from suddenly she is now speaking in such a powerful manner. The first thing could be, of course, Nara's utterance is there But Narada has also put something in her to steal the will of Savitri. To steal the will of Savitri. And suddenly something has awakened in her. It has become a pretext. The sentence of Narada has become a cause, a pretext for that something in her coming out and emerging and asserting itself. It is asserting itself. So, in a certain sense, it is a contribution of Narada. It is a contribution to Narada. You see. He has brought out something of Savitri to steal the will of Savitri.
There is no contradiction between what you say and what your wife is saying.
She is okay.
Her original, she has not forgotten at all.
He brings it out.
Yeah, but somebody has to be there. You see, until no, look, see, had she been a divine and all that, etc., 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 then she should have known right in the beginning when she met Satyavan. That knowledge was totally absent from her.
Well, she has accepted to take.
No, at that time, she should have, she's divine, she should know that this boy is going to die. That knowledge was kept away from her. Something has, because it has come out because of Narad. He has put that force and it has sprung up. And the other argument is, of course, Narad is instrumental. The more powerful argument is, under the most adverse circumstances, it is the power of love which has awakened in Savitri, which is making her assert her divinity, her personality, her immortality, her spirit's will. Her spirit's will. It is the power of love which is really making her aware of my spirit's will. Until now, the spirit's will, she was not even aware of it. But the power of love is there, and it has really made her realize that behind it. So I will say both the things are important. What Narad has seeded in the soul of Savitri, and the power of love which got awakened in that context. It is that which has given all this knowledge to Savitri, all this conviction, all this power. She said, if death take him, I too know how to die. Where from that knowledge come?
There must be something that she remembers.
Yeah.
Certainly she has an intuition what happens.
Intuition, yeah, but suddenly, but it got awakened.
Yes, it got awakened. That's how
It got awakened. In other words, she has really risen to the purpose of her mission in life. Until now, she was a happy princess, etc., etc., or that. But now she has to face the reality of life for which she has come. And therefore, if death take him, I too know how to die. What does she know? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. She has not told us how to know, you see. How to die. But she said how to die. I have to know how to die. That mechanism, that process, she has not spelled out, you see. She won't.
No, she just says, I'm ready for anything. If he dies, I also am ready to die.
No, she says, I do know how to die. You see, it means that she is not going to accept what death is going to do with her. It means that. But by what process she will do that, still at this moment, she does not have a full knowledge. That knowledge will come to her when she will do the yoga. How to die, that knowledge will come to her when she will do yoga in the next book, the book of yoga, 7 cantos. She will have to do yoga for 7 cantos, through 7 cantos. That will come to her later on. Therefore, at this point, she is Fate's law may change, but not my spirit's will. This conviction I can understand. Well, Savitri is very firm. She has given the reason. The dice is cast. Finish. No matter what. And adamant will, she casts a speech like bronze. But in the queen's mind, listening her words, rang like the voice of a self-chosen doom, denying every issue of escape. She has argued from every point of view, from every angle, Savitri's mother. But Savitri has answered in few brief sentences. She is not going to change her mind at all, her heart. She says heart, not mind, of course. Every issue of escape, she has taken care of every issue of escape. She is helpless now. Then, but she is not to stop. She is still going to make an attempt to convince Savitri. To her own despair, answer the mother made. To her own despair, because she is helpless, poor lady, what can she do? Answer the mother made. The mother made the answer. As one she cried, who in her heavy heart labors amid the sobbing of her home to wake a note of help from sadder things. So she is looking for some help from the sadder strings, whether she can get any response. To wake a note of help from sadder strings. So she is now trying to be little fond to her child, to her daughter, and try to persuade her in another way, whether that is going to help or not. To wake a note of help from sadder things. O child, in the magnificence of thy soul. See, she recognizes the magnificence of her soul. Savitri's mother recognizes now, because she has said, I too know how to die. I know that fate can be changed. Fate's law may change, but my spirit's will. That is the magnificence of her soul. She has recognized that thing already in Savitri's mind. Dwelling on the border of a greater world and dazzled by thy superhuman charm, thou lends eternity to mortal hope. Yes, her speech was that. It is that which lends hope to the mortal.